Good morning, martial artists and martial arts fans alike. How are y'all doing today? Coming at you with the third episode of Martial Mornings. I'm Jimmy.
I'm Vic. Today we're going to be looking at last week's fight card, UFC 260, the heavyweight title fight that was. And we're going to be looking at some upcoming matchups that are going to be coming to us in the next couple months. So it should be a good card. Episode 3 coming at you right now.
Let's get right into it.
So we had 260, starting with the fights that we broke down last week. We had Shane Young versus Omar Morales. Nice card, nice fight that we started off with.
Yeah, so that fight went the distance.
Yeah, it was an interesting fight. I mean, a little bit slower than I anticipated. Two guys that I thought were going to bring it a little more, but also two guys that I think were really looking to get that win. And I feel we're really trying to not have their UFC contract be in question. Because both these guys are coming off of losses, if I'm not mistaken, coming into this fight.
Right, and I felt Shane Young was a little too hesitant in this. I don't know if you noticed that too. I felt Omar Morales was doing good. He was moving around the cage and he didn't let Omar trap him. And I also noticed he had a beautiful jab. He was sticking it out there, kept catching Shane Young. It was amazing. I just wish he would have added something behind it. And he probably, I felt, could have pushed Shane Young away.
Yeah, I mean, when he was an undefeated fighter, I feel like he was a little bit more aggressive. I mean, from the fights that we saw in his past. There was actually a cup shot in the first round pretty early on, but on Shane Young, but he kind of waved it off and said he was fine. But I agree. I mean, Shane Young was being aggressive, but was being a little sloppy, if I do say so myself, and not being aggressive enough is what I would say. And Omar Morales picked his shots for sure. He kicked the leg very nicely. He showed his straight punches in that fight. Took the first one, not by a lot, but took it just enough, just because I feel like Shane Young was holding back and not really doing enough in that fight to really put pressure on Omar. So I think that ultimately was a big part of that loss. In the second round, it was a lot of the same thing. Morales got a little bit more of a flow. Took that round in a similar fashion. Defended takedowns. Kind of reversed Shane Young at points. And Shane Young was coming in for takedowns. Omar was figuring out how to grapple against him, keep his composure, and stayed crisp with his strikes all the way through to the end of the third round. So I think it was a pretty good fight. Not the most exciting, if I'm quite honest, but I still think it was a good fight for both guys. Omar Morales coming off that first loss of his career, and Shane Young has a little bit more to work on. Gonna go back to the drawing board like most guys, and I'm sure he'll figure it out.
Good on him. I'm glad Omar was at least able to come out with a win on that one. Next up, we got Beneil, I believe.
Yeah, we got Beneil versus Sharon. That's a light heavyweight fight that we were looking forward to watching.
It was Sharon's debut, no?
Yeah, Sharon's debut in the UFC. Beneil welcomed him pretty quickly, if I do say so myself. I mean...
Round 1.
Yeah,
seconds.
Round 1 finish. I mean, Beneil coming off that Ovince St. Preux loss. He was coming in against Ovince St. Preux. He looked like he was really good in that fight. Ended up losing with a flash KO. Came into this fight, I guess it's kind of weird, coming off a loss in a fight where you were winning. I feel like it's hard to be confident in fights like that, especially when you're coming up next. But fighting a guy in his debut, he actually used a choke to finish Sharon.
He actually used OSP's choke, which is pretty ironic if I do say so myself.
Yeah, the guy that he lost against probably went back in that fight, watched it a lot, probably had OSP on his mind in that fight. Ovince St. Preux, Beneil's last opponent, he actually made that choke famous. He's actually has the record, I'm pretty sure, for the most Von Flue chokes in the UFC.
The commentators, Joe Rogan and DC, kept saying that it should be called the Von Flue choke because he's the one that's pulled it off the most in the UFC, and they just kept alluding to that. But yeah, it just goes to show that he's the master at it, and look at that. This dude was the one that ended up putting it off on this guy.
Yeah, absolutely. The guy that he ended up beating ended up using his own choke in his next fight. So I think that's pretty cool. It finished him in the first 2 minutes at 1:11 seconds in the first round. So that was a really fun fight. I think Sharon has a lot to look back on. He was holding on to a choke after Beneil took him down very early on.
Yeah, that was a problem. He held on to it way too long.
Yeah, he held on to it way too long, overcommitted to that, I feel. And that's just something that he's going to have to work on. I mean, young fighters have issues with that, with patience and knowing when to let go of stuff. But, it's his first fight in the UFC. Hopefully he gets another shot against somebody a little bit more his level. I think Beneil's a little step or two above him. But overall, Really exciting fight for the minute and 11 seconds that it lasted.
Yeah, I really liked how Benefield looked. So great on that.
Good light heavyweight fight.
And then Malarkey versus Kamaworthy.
That was another quick one. First round finish. We got Malarkey versus Worthy. Like we talked about last week, Worthy, a really cool guy from his pre-fight stuff that we watched, and Malarkey, a guy that's fought against, the current featherweight champion, Volkanovski. He's a tough Australian guy. Ended up finishing the fight inside a minute. Ended up landing a really, really clean left hook on Worthy. Seemed like it was going to be...
Almost Joe Frazier.
Yeah, it was just like a picture-perfect left hook.
Caught him right on the face. Kamaworthy went face down. He was able to catch himself with his hands, so he wasn't totally out, but he was hurt bad, you could tell.
Yeah, it landed straight on his face, man.
And it was a good stoppage, though. You gotta say.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, both guys look very highly skilled for that 46 seconds that it lasted. I mean, Worthy was showing a nice clean jab to start the fight. He seemed very skilled, but unfortunately, that's just the name of the game. You get caught sometimes.
Yeah, he was so upset once the fight was over. He couldn't believe it when they announced the time, how fast he got knocked out.
It's insane because you trained so long, so hard.
Only for it to end like that. It happens. Like you said, the name of the game.
Most definitely.
It is what it is.
A great fight. Now a fight that I really enjoyed, honestly, was Miranda Maverick versus Jillian Robinson.
I expected a little bit more from Gillian Robertson.
Yeah, me too.
At least I felt that she at least was able to show that she could do some damage on the ground in the second round. I don't see how two of the judges didn't score that second round for her, so I think that was a little off. Regardless, she would have lost the fight, but whatever.
I think she was definitely a little more aggressive in the second round, but I mean, she started off quick. Miranda Maverick did in that round. She came off quick. Great. She seemed very crisp with her punches. She came in strong. She didn't let Jillian Robinson get her flow going, and she's coming off a quick turnaround. She fought only a month or two ago, and
super young.
Supposedly had a really rough weight cut going into this one. A lot of different things and she still came out very fresh, came out very strong, and that's something that she talked about after the fight was that strength that she has, that natural strength at that weight, and
she was teaching during the weight cutting.
Yeah, absolutely. This girl's got a loaded plate right now, and she's trying to make her way into the UFC. This is only her second fight or first fight in the UFC.
Right.
It's her second fight, and she's trying to make her mark. She's already laid out a path.
I'm not impressed.
She came out in that first round, won that. Second round kind of showed that she was a little susceptible on the ground to Jillian Robinson, but
regardless, didn't lose it.
Ended the second. Yeah, she ended the second round with a flurry. She showed that she was still in it to win it, and took that into the third and ultimately came out with the win. I mean, two of the judges gave her all 3 rounds, so she's going to be definitely one to watch, man. I mean, Miranda Maverick, she's a great 125-pound fighter. After the fight, she got asked, or supposedly before the fight, when she was mentioning the weight cut, she was asked if she was going to move up to 35, and, she said, no, this is my perfect weight class. I plan on fighting the champ within 2 years, and I like her confidence, man. It's really cool. I like her as a fighter, and
she's a problem.
Yeah, she's a problem. She's already talking about fighting Antonina Shevchenko, which is the champion's sister, Valentina, and then from there working her way up. So
I'd like to see how that would go down.
Yeah, I really would love to see that, because that's definitely going to motivate the champ to get that vengeance for her sister. So
can you imagine her though versus Valentina?
Oh dude, that would be fun.
Definitely needs some development, I think, before she can get there.
Before she can keep up. But I mean, she's
well on her way.
She's looking good.
And she's so young, good. So she definitely has time to grow.
I would love to see her. A matchup I want to talk about before we move on is I saw someone mention the idea of Barber versus her.
Oh,
Macy Barber versus Miranda Maverick. 2 up-and-comers. Catch them early.
And Barber's coming off of 2 losses now.
Yeah, she's coming off that knee injury as well.
And Alex Grasso beat her most recently.
Yep.
So yeah, that'd be a good one for her.
I think that would be a really interesting matchup. It's like cocky versus confident.
It would put some spotlight on Maverick too, if she could get the double.
Yeah, because Macy Barber already has a little bit of that on her. Miranda Maverick's picking up, so I think that would be a fun one for sure.
Definitely.
But maybe the UFC holds off. They want them to develop a little bit more, get into the top echelon, and then throw them in there.
That'll be good.
I think that's cool.
I actually like that idea. That's a good one.
I like Miranda Maverick. She's a fun fighter.
We got one that you'll like next. O'Malley.
Yeah.
So he could have won it in the first round, ended up winning it in the third. Got overconfident because apparently he loves the walkaway knockouts.
He got 2 KOs in one fight though.
Yeah, he can say he knocked the dude out twice basically. He looked good. There's always, he gets a little overconfident, he gets reckless, but I guess it's his style, he likes to show out, he likes to be flashy, so, it's gonna happen. And then Almeida, it's what I said in the last podcast, he was being, if he was gonna let O'Malley dictate the pace, then O'Malley was gonna win that fight, and that's exactly what happened. Almeida tried a few other leg kicks, he saw it wasn't working, and he didn't know what else to do. He had no backup game plan. And O'Malley was able to pick it up from there. And, he was able to do what O'Malley does best, show out.
Yeah, I mean, like we talked about last week, Sean O'Malley came into this fight. He doesn't believe he's ever lost a fight still, has that undefeated mindset, even though he does have the one loss. But, I mean, man, O'Malley came back with a fury, bro. I mean, he came back wanting that. And he had 2 walk-offs in this fight, I think. His first one and his, what ultimately ended the fight. Almeida wasn't it. This is 4 straight losses for him now. Almeida, I mean, he should really go back to the drawing board and really think about it. This is what he wants to do. Going forward, I think, in my opinion, I mean, who am I to say that? I've never stepped in the cage before, but just coming off of 4 losses, he's already done so much. But O'Malley got his swag back in this one, bro. He was throwing his spinning kicks. He was, finding the combinations, finding those counters. I love the way he boxes. Showed a great flow, like always. And, I think he's back and he's better, for sure. He's back and he's better, and he's gonna show out in this one.
He's killing it. Let's see who he's going to face next. Who do you want him next against?
Oh, I mean, I want to see him fight against somebody that's a little more, that's got something going, like somebody that's... Cody was a good fight for him. I honestly think the thing is, the Cheeto Vera fight is always there. That's the guy that he lost against.
Most recent, the controversial loss.
He got injured in that fight, couldn't finish it, but I feel like that fight's always going to be that's something that Dana White mentioned in the post-fight. That fight's always there. And, I want to see him take on someone with a little more traction, someone that's got a little more going for him. I think him versus Song Yadong would be a very interesting fight. Someone else that's up and coming, another up and coming guy, 23 years old, fighting out of China, fights very aggressively. I think that would be a great fight to put on. Both guys trying to make their way up, so I think that's a fight to make for sure.
Sounds good. Next, we got Vicente Luque, who won in the first round against Tyrone Woodley, the ex-champ. That one was fucking crazy. The whole fight I was freaking out.
I mean, that was just, it started quick.
It's just, Woodley literally ran up to him from the get, swung that right hand, which then I was like, finally.
Yeah, he let go.
I was upset. Because, he was able to let go, but he also let his defense out the fucking window.
Yeah, he just was throwing.
He had no regard for what was coming back at his way, just swinging away.
No respect for Luque and his power.
He was just like, all right, I'm not going to get released, I guess, by the UFC, and I'm going to get this man out of here. But it definitely didn't go his way, man. He can't be like that, and he should know that at the highest level, you cannot just swing away at your opponent and expect to get the victory. But Vicente Luque, man, you got to give it to him. He got rocked. He was able to come back. Tremendous chin on the kid. And he was able to get a Darce that Tyrone Woodley actually was able to submit Darren Till with. So ironic on that too.
Yeah, I mean, like we talked about last week, Tyrone Woodley, this is honestly probably was his biggest fight of his career, because it's kind of determining where he's at and how he should move forward. And he did let go. I mean, props to him. Like a lot of people have said, he went out on the shield that night, and he really went out and he went for it. And Luque was just he was able to withstand and weather the storm and found a way to lock him up on the ground, which is just something you got to watch out for. This fight actually won fight of the night too. It was a war for as long as it lasted. I think Luque is he's really skilled, man. He's fought guys like Wonder Boy, ended up losing to him by decision, I believe, in the Masvidal Nate Diaz card. I mean, Luque is just really skilled, man. He's building up a really nice resume. I think he's a dark horse at 170. I think he's someone that the champ's got to look out for, man. I mean, Usman has a lot of guys coming for his neck, but Luque's one that I think he definitely needs to look at a little closer, because he showed why. He showed why in this fight, I feel.
All right, so next we got the main event, Ngannou versus Stipe. Wow on that one.
Incredible fight. Felt like I was watching a movie. I was watching a movie.
That was actually crazy in every sense of the word. And I was able to call it. I actually got it. I said that Ngannou was going to adjust. He had long enough time to come up with a game plan, and it's exactly what he did. Stipe is at the top, and he fought him before. So of course you're gonna have to come up with a game plan for the man to beat him a second time, and he had plenty of time to do that, and he was able to execute it perfectly. So I just love that Ngannou was able to keep his composure, and he even said in the post-fight, calm, just keep yourself calm.
Mm-hmm.
Throughout the whole thing, even when he heard him, calm, and I love that. And Ngannou looked like a whole different animal in this one. I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely insane. Defended a takedown absolutely beautifully in that fight, and I think that was one of the most talked about moments in that fight.
I lost my shit.
Yeah, it was absolutely insane. I mean, that was one thing that was really going to determine how this fight went. I think once Stipe got that takedown stuffed, I think no matter how you look at it, no matter how you feel about yourself, once somebody that you were able to take down so easily all of a sudden is stuffing you and then pounding you as soon as he takes your back.
No, with that kind of power,
that's a scary thing, man. That's a scary thing, and I feel like that really affected Stipe's will in that fight and his pride as well, which is a big part of why I think he got knocked out. He got hurt, got pushed up against the fence, ended up finding a way to recover because Francis was picking his shots, backed off a little bit, found a shot. Stipe rushed in again, even though he was hurt, and ultimately got caught by a mean left hook that put him clean out, folded him like an absolute chair.
Did you see the tweet where Stipe had fought DC in the UFC 4 video game, and Stipe got knocked out in the video game, and the way he was laying on the floor is exactly the same way he was laying when he got knocked out. It was
did not see that.
It's actually insane. Yeah, exactly the same position.
Oh my goodness. It's crazy how life works.
Mystic almost.
Yeah, it's almost like it was meant to be. But I mean, just absolutely insane though.
It's
overall.
A Rocky story for Ngannou though.
Yeah, I mean, Ngannou came out with just such a different... It's like you gave someone that just started playing the UFC video game, and that was the guy that fought the first time against Stipe. And then you gave a guy that is like up there and is like a ranked player or something like that, and you gave him Francis Ngannou. He just like did every technically sound thing you could do, stuff the takedown. Like,
it was beautiful.
You know what I mean? Like it was great. It was
masterful
great
performance. And
yeah,
he had
absolutely.
Usman in that corner, so I believe Usman was also able to give him that championship mentality on how to think, what to do.
Absolutely.
The wrestling is also, to have Usman in your corner, wrestling wise,
yelling at you where to put your hips, giving you those tips and tricks as you're doing things. I mean,
no, and the underhooks he was using everything. He actually knew what to do.
Yeah, it's insane, and that just goes to show you what finding good coaching can do once you have that raw talent, and that's ultimately what Francis Ngannou is, the new heavyweight champion of the world.
So who's next for him?
The guy that nobody can stop talking about, Johnny Bones Jones,
but
moving up to heavyweight.
Negotiations seem shaky at this point.
I mean, talking about wanting to get cut because Dana White hates him, crying like a little baby. I mean, whatever.
Emo girl stage.
It is what it is. I want to see it just because they're
it's
talking
just he knows
shit.
the danger, bro.
They're
but the thing
shit.
is, okay, if he wants to get paid that amount of money, he shouldn't have let go of the light heavyweight belt. Then he would have gotten paid as a champ, and it would have been a champ versus champ fight. But he messed up letting go of that lightweight belt. But yeah, that's the recap for UFC 260. So let's get into some future topics. So Darren Till's out, sadly, collarbone injury. I'm upset about that.
Yeah, man. Darren Till out. Wanted to talk a little bit about that matchup in this one, but now we're talking about Kevin Holland possibly stepping in, taking that fight against Marvin Vettori.
Vettori already tweeted him. Let's do it.
Yeah, so apparently both sides have verbally agreed to the fight. Hopefully that gets made official soon. And next week we have a nice middleweight main event. We're able to talk about Big Mouth Kevin Holland once again, fighting against, the Italian contender coming up, Marvin Vettori. So should be an interesting matchup once they make it official. Hopefully we get to talk about it real soon.
All right. And then we also got 3 fights, actually, that's going to headline the main event for UFC 261, Chandler versus Oliveira. And those are going to be Ferguson versus Dariush, Hermanson versus Shabazian, and Burgos versus Barboza.
I mean, Ferguson versus Dariush is going to be a fun 155-pound fight. I mean, hopefully Ferguson, that he is not a shell of his old self, that he is still aggressive and still has that skill set, or Dariush shows that he's a contender in this weight class and Ferguson should think about hanging him up.
Yeah, I like that Dariush is so wild. So it's almost wild versus wild on this one. Yeah. And Tony definitely needs a turnaround, so he needs to get a dub on this one. And he's working with Freddie Roach. I don't know if you saw the pictures.
Yeah, that should be fun.
So let's see if that'll change up Tony's game plan a little bit. Who knows?
Then Hermanson versus Shabazian is going to be a full one at 185.
Hermanson, the jiu-jitsu guy.
Jiu-jitsu,
And
good at
Shabazi
being
in the first round demolitioner,
Yeah, he dips after too.
basically. So we'll see if he fixes
Yeah,
that problem.
it's a 3-round fight, so he should be in for a good one this one.
Yeah, but we'll see if he even fixed that. Because, fuck,
Yeah,
can't be letting that happen, man.
absolutely. It's gonna be a fun one.
And then Burroughs versus Barboza.
Shane Burgos.
Burroughs he's a big 145er. He's a really big 145er.
Yeah, he's fought against Cub Swanson. He's crazy, man. He's had a lot of fight of the night contender fights. You know, Shane Burgos, 145-pound guy, likes to brawl, likes to box, likes to just slug it out, man. And fighting a guy like Edson Barbosa, who just fights very clean. He's got some of the cleanest kicks in the game. You know, if you want to learn how to throw kicks to the body, leg kicks, anything like that, you go watch an Edson Barbosa highlight. You go watch Edson Barbosa working out. Because that guy's got the perfect kick.
Watch those breakdowns.
Absolutely.
So for that one I'm really looking forward to, actually. I think that one's gonna be banger.
Can't wait to break those down a little bit deeper.
And we also got one that's gonna be the weekend before, May 8th. Cory Sandhagen versus TJ.
Amazing fight. So
That
happy
one.
they put that together.
That one is one I cannot wait for.
TJ Dillashaw, former bantamweight champ. It's a 135-pound fight. Cory Sandhagen, probably the hottest 135-pound contender right now. So yeah, it's gonna be a fun one. I think this fight determines who fights for the belt. TJ coming off the suspension for the PEDs, fighting against. They're not giving him an easy fight to start, and I think this one determines the next contender for the belt. Whoever fights the winner of Aljamain versus Peter Yan, the rematch.
They're
Hopefully
gonna
they make that
announce the
soon.
rematch.
They haven't announced it yet, but if they don't make that rematch next, then they got a problem because they need to remake that fight and have it properly decided, I feel. But that's a topic for another day. I don't want to get upset right now.
All right, sounds good. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Martial Mornings.
Thanks for tuning in. Thanks to everybody. Look out for us soon.
Like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff.
And we're out.
Catch you next time.